A Treatise of Satan's Temptations. Part 2. By Richard Gilpin. A Discourse of the Malice, Power, Cruelty and Diligence of Satan. Of Satan's improving these advantages for error, by deluding the understanding directly, which he doth, 1. By countenancing error from Scripture. Of his cunning therein. 2. By specious pretences of mysteries, and what these are. Of personal flatteries, and more. Chapter 3. Part 10. 3. Thirdly, where the two former fail, men that devote themselves to this kind of service, imitate their father the devil, and fall to plain lying and devised fables. Idolatry was mainly underpropped by fabulous stories. And no wonder. When they esteemed it a pious fraud to nourish piety towards the gods, in which case, as Polybius saith, though their writers speak monsters, and write childish, absurd, and impossible things, yet are they to be pardoned for their good intent. Among the papists what less can be expected, when the same principle is entertained among them? Canus, and Lodovicus Vivus mentioned by him, as also some few others, do exceedingly blame that blind piety of coining lies for religion, and feigning histories for the credit of their opinions. But while they with great freedom and ingenuity do tax the fables of their own party, they do plainly acknowledge that they are too much guilty of feigning, insomuch that not only the author of the Golden Legend is branded, with the characters of a brazen face and a leaden heart, but also Gregory's Dialogues and Bede's History, are blamed by him, as containing narrations of miracles, taken upon trust from the reports of the vulgar. And indeed the wonders they talk of are so strange, so unlikely, so ridiculous and absurd some of them, that except a man offer violence to his reason, and wilfully shut his eyes against the clear evidences of suspicion, he cannot think they are anything else than dreams and fables, no better than Aesop's. You may meet with several catalogues of them in Protestant writers, as their Saint Swithin's making whole a basket of broken eggs by the sign of the cross. Patricius is making the stolen sheep to bleed in the thief's belly, after he had eaten it. Their Saint Bridget's bacon, which in great charity she gave to a hungry dog, was found again in her kettle. Dionysius after he was beheaded, carried his head in his hand 3 French miles. Saint Dunstan took the devil by the nose with his tongs till he made him roar. Dominicus made him hold the candle till he burned his fingers. Saint Lupus imprisoned the devil in a pot all night. A chapel of the Virgin Mary was translated from Palestine to Loretto. A consecrated host, being put into a hive of bees to cure them of the murrain, was so devoutly entertained that the bees built a chapel in the hive, with doors, windows, steeple, and bells, erected an altar and laid the host upon it, sung their canonical hours, and kept their watches by night, as monks used to do in their cloisters, etc. Who would ever imagine that men of any seriousness could satisfy themselves with such childish fopperies? These are the usual ways by which men of design have raised the noise of miracles. The other part of Satan's coming relates to himself and his own actions. When his agents can go no further in the trade of miracle-making, he as a spirit doth often make use of his power, knowledge, and agility, by which he can indeed do things incredible and to be wondered at. Portenta fallacium spirituum. It is nothing for him, by his knowledge of affairs at a distance, of the private endeavors or expressed resolves of princes, to prognosticate future events. By his power over the bodies of men, he can, with the help of inclinations and advantages, do much to bring a man into a trance, or take the opportunity of a fit of an apoplexy, and then, like a cunning juggler, pretend, by I know not what nor whom, to raise a man from death. He knows the secret powers and virtues of things, and by private applications of them may easily supply spirits, remove obstructions, and so cure lameness, blindness, and many other distempers, and then give the honor of the cure to what person or occasion may best fit his design. So that either by the officious lies of his vassals, or the exerting of his own power on suitable objects at fit times, he hath made a great noise of signs and wonders in the world. And this stratagem of his hath ever been at hand to gain a repute to false doctrine. And the rather doth he insist upon this. First, because true miracles are a divine testimony to truth. As Nicodemus argued, John 3:2, no man could do these miracles that thou doest except God be with him. And there were solemn occasions wherein they were necessary. As when God gave public discoveries of his mind before the Scriptures were written. And also when he altered the economy of the Old Testament, and settled that of the New. In these cases it was necessary that God should confirm his word by miracles. But now, though these ends of miracles are ceased, though God hath so settled and fixed the rule of our obedience and worship, that no other gospel or rule is to be expected, and consequently no need of new miracles, where the certain account of the old miracles, are sufficient attestations of old and unalterable truths. Nay, though God have expressly told us, Deuteronomy 13:1, that no miracle, though it should come to pass, and could not be discovered to be a lie, should prevail with us to forsake the established truths and ways of Scripture, or to entertain anything contrary to it. Yet doth Satan exercise herein a proud imitation of the supreme majesty, and withal doth so dazzle the minds of the weaker sort of men, who are more apt to consider the wonder, than to suspect the design, that, without due heed given to the cautions which God hath laid before us in that particular, they are ready to interpret them to be God's witness to this or that doctrine, to which they seem to be appendant. Secondly, because Satan hath a more than ordinary advantage to feign miracles. He doth more industriously set himself to pretend them, and to urge them for the accomplishment of his ends. It is an easy work to prevail with men that are wholly devoted to their own interest, under the mask of religion, to say and do anything that may further their design. And the business of miracles is so imitable by art, through the ignorance and heedlessness of men, that with a small labor Satan can do it at pleasure. The secret powers of nature, such as that of the lodestone, by a dexterous application, brought into act in a fitly contrived subject, will seem miraculous, to those that see not the secret springs of those actions. There have been artificial contrivances of motions which, had they been disguised under a religious form, and directed to such an end, might have passed for greater miracles, than many which we have mentioned. Such was the dove of Archias, which did fly in the air as if it had been a living creature. Such was the fly of Regiomontanus, and the eagle presented to the Emperor Maximilian, which, in the compass of their little bodies, contained so many springs and wheels, as were sufficient to give them motion, and to direct their courses as if they had been animated. Albertus Magnus is artificial man, and the silver galleon tritons, made by a goldsmith at Paris, were rare pieces of art, their motion so certain and steady, that they seem to have life and understanding. If art can do all this, how much more may we suppose can Satan do? How easily can he make apparitions, present strange sights to the eye and voices to the ear, and, by putting out his power, do 1,000 things astonishing and wonderful. Thanks.